Well, hello there. You look like a person with 4 to 7 hours to kill. What are you in the mood for? Something funny? Strange? Creepy? Why don't you have a look at the worst things for sale on the internet? Or maybe check out the last meals of death row inmates. Don't threaten me with a good time. How about a list of bad songs? I know, you want to know the location of the pole of inaccessibility, don't you? Or what about that golf course that has machine guns and active landmines? Weirdest Guinness World Records? No, I've got it. You want to read about the last remaining indigenous people on the planet who have no contact with the developed world. No? Why don't we see what's happening on the internet every second? Or we could look at the universe. Or play the wiki game. Why don't we dive into the world of custom keyboards? Or read about the abandoned ghost cities in China? Cruise ship disasters? Magic the Gathering? How about the history of the kingdom of Baman and the Baman people? Jonestown Massacre? What broccoli looked like before domestication? Custom guitar pedals? Alright. Maybe you just want to watch a few hours of shit getting demoed. Or listen to someone else talk about their latest rabbit hole obsession. That one. Enjoy. Starts with a single question. Something fairly innocuous at first glance, like why is clapping so hard to record on audio? Several hours later, you find yourself sunken into the depths of the internet with no idea how you got there or how long it's been since you drank water. Yes, the internet rabbit hole. A vast digital labyrinth of interconnecting tunnels leading from one place to the next with no pause, exit, or stop button. Internet rabbit holes are seductive. They call to our innate sense of curiosity and must-know-it-allism. They tickle with novelty, offering to push us beyond what we now know. But like a black hole, what occurs inside of a rabbit hole is largely uncertain. But what we do know is, who you are going in may not be what comes out. Welcome to the Daily Mind Trap, where my hope is that collectively we can learn about our world, develop self-awareness, and maybe even find comfort in chaos. If you clicked on this video, it's likely you want to know about internet rabbit holes, why we get stuck in them, why we find them so goddamn fascinating, and if you're concerned about it, how to get out of them. Stick around if you're interested. The general definition for a rabbit hole relies on its use as an idiom, described as something that is intricate or convoluted like a labyrinth and often has no outlet or resolution. It could also be a complexly bizarre or difficult state or situation conceived of as a hole into which one falls or descends. That is a cool definition. Especially one in which the pursuit of something such as an answer or solution leads to other questions, problems, or pursuits. To me, those definitions seem pretty broad. This is probably because rabbits and their holes have a comprehensive origin story that's as old as we are. Rabbits have been hunted by humans for thousands of years for their meat and fur. Rabbits were first domesticated over 1400 years ago in southern Europe. Over time, selective breeding led to the development of various domestic rabbit breeds, some with vastly different characteristics. There are 42 species of rabbit, the most common of which is the European rabbit, which has been introduced on every continent except for Antarctica. Since the early 19th century, rabbits have been kept as pets because they're small, docile, low maintenance, and fucking cute. Currently, more than half the world's rabbit population resides in North America. Rabbits are prey animals, meaning they get eaten by basically everyone, which is also why they sleep with their eyes open and do most of their activities at night. Rabbits make two types of poop: hard droppings and soft pellets, or night droppings. The night droppings are like a little midnight snack. Eating your own poop is a behavior known as secotrophy. It kind of works like how cows chew their cud. It allows rabbits to redigest their food and re-extract more nutrients out of it. Rabbits are known to be prolific breeders, capable of having up to 60 kits or babies per year. Rabbits have pro-social behaviors. The thumping that we see them do on the ground in movies is a real behavior that acts as a warning to other rabbits to get out of Dodge. The longest lived rabbit on record was a domesticated European rabbit from Tasmania who died at age 18. Aww. But some wild rabbits, such as the eastern cottontail, live less than a year. Rabbits are loved by many, so much so that we've taken them with us everywhere, including into space. but their introduction hasn't always been positive. In Australia, rabbits are considered a pest and are regularly culled to control their numbers. While some rabbits live solitary lives, others live in groups. The European rabbit, for instance, lives in burrows or rabbit holes, which interconnect underground into what's referred to as a warren. Historically, rabbits and hares are common motifs in art, showing up in mythology and religion throughout different cultures worldwide. They are associated with many different ideas, such as rebirth or resurrection, fertility, moon deities, medicine, and as symbols in religious artworks depicting good and evil. The jackalope is a mythical animal of North American folklore, which looks like if a jackrabbit and an antelope got it on. In Judaism, the rabbit is considered not kosher, i.e., can't be eaten. This is because of statements in the Old Testament like, "Because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you." Translation, it does the nutrient re-extraction thing by eating its poop, but not like cows and other herbivores, so it is not to be trusted. Nevertheless, symbolic rabbits continue to pop up in cultures all over the globe. For example, the 3 hares motif appears in sacred sites from East Asia, the Middle East, to churches in England and historical synagogues in Europe. It's thought to have a range of symbolic and mystical associations with fertility, the lunar cycle, or when used in Christian churches, a symbol of the Holy Trinity. The 3 hares motif has captivated humans for centuries due to its unique features, likened to that of an optical illusion. When you look closely, you can probably make out 3 rabbits that look like they're chasing each other in a circle. But looking closer, you realize that you can only see 3 ears. Oh yeah. Cool. The 3 hares motif can be seen as an interesting example of a topological concept known as a cycle. In mathematics, a cycle is a path that loops back on itself, forming a closed loop. It can also be interpreted as a problem in perception. Each rabbit can be individually seen as correct. It's only when you try to see all 3 at once that you realize the problem. Anyway, back to rabbits and religion. Those statements from the Old Testament gave rabbits a bad reputation, so throughout the Middle Ages, we see rabbits depicted as symbols of unbridled sexuality and lust. I also found these wacky artworks showing rabbits getting revenge on humans. Makes sense, we did eat a lot of them. The Physiologus, a resource for medieval artists, states that when in danger, a rabbit seeks safety by climbing up high rocky cliffs, but when running back down because of its short front legs, it's quickly caught by its predators. Religious teachings took this on board and used the rabbit to symbolize men seeking salvation in the rock of Christ. Instead of going down the mountain, tripping on your stubby legs and falling face first into the devil's lap.
Just keep me covered. Too late. What? There he is. Look! Jesus Christ!
Then we've got rabbits and Easter. Before it was a week-long holiday followed by cheap supermarket chocolate, Easter was a Christian festival commemorating the resurrection of Jesus. Isn't it still? The Easter Bunny, or hare, is a folkloric figure with Germanic origins, originally known for gifting coloured eggs, candy, and sometimes toys to good children. I have a question. Why does the Easter Bunny carry around eggs? To my knowledge, rabbits don't excrete eggs. Correct. That's actually due to another old tradition. Like the rabbit, the egg is also an ancient symbol of new life and rebirth. In Christianity, the custom of the Easter egg, usually stained red, became associated with Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. In 1875, British chocolate company Cadbury manufactured the first Easter egg, which was hollow and filled with sugared almonds. Fast forward to the 1990s, where a campaign by the Foundation for Rabbit-Free Australia attempted to replace the Easter Bunny with the Easter Bilby, to help raise public awareness about the environmental damage that feral rabbits cause. Right, well, when I was a child, that message went completely over my head. In film, TV, and video games, an Easter egg is a hidden piece of information for fans with a keen eye for detail. Rabbits and rabbit hole symbolism continues into the modern era with possibly the most famous depiction found in Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. In the original story, the white rabbit character has either poor time management or ADHD.
Oh, my fearing whiskies! I'm late!
In his rush to go somewhere, the White Rabbit leads open-minded Alice down the rabbit hole and into Wonderland, a place of magical happenings, drugs, and weirdos. From there, Alice tries desperately to get back home, at times attempting to follow the White Rabbit, but mostly just gets treated like shit by everyone in Wonderland. Then when she's really lost, Alice sings this song about her trouble with curiosity and impatience. Is that a moral I see? Then some other stuff happens. She meets the Queen of the Clowns, plays a round of whatever this is, before somehow making it home, back to reality and the comfort of her family. I watched this version of Alice in Wonderland made in 1952, as well as the 2010 version directed by Tim Burton. Oh yeah, and this even older silent film made in 1903, which was pretty funny. And look, as far as the original source material goes, I think Disney did a good job in the 1950s with the messaging. Alice in Wonderland is a cautionary tale for young, precocious children who tend to follow their nose instead of their heads. All the characters are people and traits you've probably met before. Old bitches, pretentious stoners, unhelpful cats, mad hat people, unhelpful dogs, and ship bosses. And in the end, Alice realizes that the freedom that she longed for before falling down the rabbit hole was not all it cracked up to be. Wonderland, or as I think it symbolizes, the adult world, is full of unhelpful, annoying people, scammers, miniature dictators, and there are no signs telling you where to go or how to get home. If you ask your stoner friend, what do I do? Unfortunately, the answer is always hidden somewhere inside of you. No one can tell you who you are, you must discover it through your own life experiences. I really like these themes from Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Although I wouldn't have understood these lessons as a kid, I think the story is a fairly honest take on the transition we each go through from being a child to an adult. When it comes to the modern version, however, I don't think that the changes that they made preserved any of the moral guts of the story. Instead, they chose to make all the side characters support Alice, so the only lesson she learnt in the end was that she can slay a dragon if she has enough friends to help her. I do get why they did this for the modern audience, female empowerment and all of that. But I think it just goes to show how much we've changed in how we talk to young people and prepare them for the real world. They also played down the drug references in the remake. It's hard to know exactly how the ancient symbolism of the rabbit came to be associated with drugs, but I think it could have something to do with those notions of rebirth and resurrection, or even the choice between good and evil. The song White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane no doubt had the most influence on the fusing of the rabbit symbolism with drugs. But according to this Guardian article, there's no evidence that Carroll ever tried drugs beyond some alarming-sounding homeopathic remedies, which included dosing himself with aconite and arsenic to cure a stubborn cold. Humans continue to rehash the white rabbit symbolism in movies like The Matrix, combining metaphysical waking up metaphors that reference Carroll's Wonderland. The red pill, blue pill represents a choice. Take the blue pill and stay in the comfort of what you've always known reality to be. Take the red pill, however, and what awaits you on the other side is uncertain, with potentially unsettling or life-changing truths for you to discover. The outcomes of Neo taking the red pill and following the white rabbit are enlightenment, contact with reality, and superhuman powers, all the ingredients that enable him to challenge the status quo. In the 2010s, the phrase "follow the white rabbit" became popular among QAnon adherents as a way of inciting followers to do their own research. Shit! Jeez! Did you know that was happening? Why didn't you say anything? This is supposed to be a video about rabbit holes. Great! Now I'm late. To truly unpack how internet rabbit holes work, we must first go back to the before times. Before the internet, to a man named Tim Berners-Lee. You may have heard of him as the man who invented the World Wide Web.
The World Wide Web. The World Wide Web.
The World Wide Web. The Worldwide Computer Network.
Worldwide. The World Wide Web, or Web as it's affectionately called.
The most exciting part of the internet.
Prior to the web's invention, Tim was frustrated that there was no easy way to store and share files, both within his organization and with collaborators in other places. Therefore, his vision of the World Wide Web was to provide a simple and easy way to find, read, and navigate text documents. These documents would be accessible on web pages found on the global network of computers. For this goal, Tim built the web upon three pillars: URLs, HTTP, and HTML. URLs are like the addresses on your Amazon packages. Just as you need an address to send a package to the right place, URLs tell your computer where to find something on the internet. HTTP is like the postal service that delivers your package. It ensures that data is delivered correctly from one place to another. And last but not least, HTML is like the language that you use to write a letter. If we did that anymore. It's a language that web developers use to create web pages. In the early stages of the web, URLs were really long and frustrating for people to type in. So this is where hyperlinks really revolutionized everything. Now all you had to do was click a link and you'd be instantly transported to the place you wanted to go.
Do I have to be a computer geek to use the internet? No.
The web's 3 pillars are still the foundation of much of what we experience on the web, although we don't rely on hyperlinks as much as we did before. But the experience of moving through the web remains in the use of web-like navigation from place to place. Think about Wikipedia. Its structure looks basic when compared to most modern websites. But don't be fooled. Wikipedia's decentralized design is its golden goose. Wikipedia relies heavily on hyperlinks that connect topics within an article to other articles and resources. As you read through a wiki article, you'll most likely be motivated to click links to other pages to get more context. Then, once you've finished reading the article, well, would you look at that? The See Also section at the end has even more related articles you could peruse. The hyperlink is what makes Wikipedia the perfect place to fall into rabbit holes. What starts with a single article leads to another and another, and before you know it, you're reading about the history of the Gutenberg printing press and you don't even remember what your original question was. And while it might make you a legend on Tuesday's pub trivia night, going down the Wikipedia rabbit hole, or any internet rabbit hole for that matter, seems to me like it's a little too easy.
Now that I've gotten on the internet, I'd rather be on my computer than doing just about anything.
Now, when we're starting to get into the nitty-gritty of how websites like Wikipedia and the use of hyperlinks can cause users to go into rabbit holes, it can get a bit mathematical. The Wikipedia Foundation regularly publishes research data on reader browsing behavior, but from what I can see, the data is often used for research that aims to find ways of improving navigation, and it's not necessarily looking at the human experience of rabbit holification. What I wanted to know was, how do hyperlinks and other web design features influence the likelihood of going down a rabbit hole? And it's a hard question to answer, because if you look at the landscape, there's countless websites like Wikipedia. There's search engines, YouTube, social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You get the point. And in terms of design features, it's not just hyperlinks anymore. There's recommendation systems, personalization, suggested content, subscriber filters, user mechanics like the too popular swipe up or YouTube's autoplay, and every website does it differently and updates it regularly. So that question I had is just far too broad. The other tough part is the personalization element. Personalization is when your user information, like the things that YouTube knows about you, and content information, like the videos on YouTube, are combined to tailor recommendations to you. But as you can imagine, this is hard to study because everyone is getting recommended different things and interacting with the site in different ways. In an article by Woolley, published in the Journal of Marketing Research, researchers find evidence of the rabbit hole effect occurring in media consumption. The proposed rabbit hole effect is the notion that consuming multiple similar media consecutively leads consumers to choose additional similar media over dissimilar media or complete a non-media task. Translation: if you watch 3 nature documentaries in a row, you'll likely go for another instead of switching to Rick and Morty or going for that run. In this case, the term rabbit hole effect is a desired outcome from advertisers and platform hosts. Research articles like this one give media companies the tools to get users into rabbit holes faster, more efficiently, and to keep them there for longer periods of time. Let's just say that the form, the design features of the platform, justify the function. What is the function? Get you in the hole, keep you in the hole. There's a lot of things that can happen in an internet rabbit hole. You can lose all sense of time and awareness of your surroundings. Your bodily signals may be dampened. You might feel unable to escape switch tasks, or unaware that you're trapped at all. Intrigue and automation can take over completely. You might succumb to confirmation bias, seeing patterns and linkages everywhere. You might suffer with information overload or feel anxiety and stress from consuming too much negative content. A prolonged rabbit hole might keep you up at night. It might isolate you from your friends. And then there's the secondary effects. According to mainstream media, internet rabbit holes are responsible for, or more accurately, play a critical role in a myriad of morally outrageous social problems. Our proclivity for internet rabbit holes is turning us into extremists, disseminating conspiracy theories and misinformation. It's feeding anti-Semitism, harming our children's mental health, making men angry, fueling our obsessions, and creating incels. Oh God! Hang on a sec. I like rabbit holes. I like getting to the bottom of things. Okay, sometimes I feel like I'm going mad, but surely there's something to be said for the education and entertainment that a good rabbit hole session can provide. Just because people go down rabbit holes that we don't approve of doesn't mean that the rabbit hole itself is the problem, right? There must be something in our internal wiring that leads us to this place of extreme focus, of extreme curiosity. Humans. Curious little creatures. We have an innate desire to understand the world around us. We'd like to know how things work, nature, technology, ourselves. And we're problem solvers. Knowledge allows us to solve problems more effectively, whether it's figuring out how to build a shelter, solve social issues, or use an iPad. Knowledge equips us with the tools to overcome challenges. And overcoming these challenges is the key to our survival. As children, we're taught which objects are safe to eat. At school, we're educated on acceptable social procedures. And when we move out of home, we continue acquiring the knowledge that helps us to adapt to challenging environments. We never stop learning. Rabbit holes are not exclusive to technology. Human curiosity is an innate tool helping us to make more informed decisions, solve problems, and survive. Inventions in technology, like the simple hyperlink, leverages the innate human mechanics behind curiosity and problem solving. These platforms are giving us what we want in return for the money they make when you are on their website. Software developers don't necessarily do this with malicious intent. It's a trade that we make. We get entertainment and education. They get money, usually from advertising, but also other things. My video on data brokers looks deeper at this. The issues start if you're concerned about the time you waste in rabbit holes. Or perhaps you have a friend who's quickly being radicalized by extremist YouTubers. And unfortunately, the jury is still out on this one. We definitely need more research to fully understand the role that rabbit holes play in radicalization. What I do know is our pitiful little monkey brains are up against big tech and AI. There are armies of Silicon Valley goons designing software and apps with one goal in mind. Get you in the hole, keep you in the hole. And AI? Well, if you tell AI to find the most effective way of doing that one job, it'll figure it out. AI doesn't need to sleep, eat, or poop. It just works 24/7, 365 on the job it was programmed to do. For many, myself included, the pursuit of knowledge is personally fulfilling. It's allowed me to develop new skills, broaden my perspectives, and deepen my understanding of myself and the world. Without it, I wouldn't have gone to university, traveled, or started this YouTube channel, which arguably is just a collection of internet rabbit holes I've been sucked into. What I'm saying is that I'm a huge fan of this curious part within each of us, this little precocious child who wants to get to the bottom of things. Without it, we wouldn't have detectives and journalists and doctors. I think that there's a bit of moral panic linked with rabbit holes, which might have something to do with the rabbit's long-held but complicated symbolism. But it doesn't mean that rabbit holes are inherently bad. Back in the old times when most people were illiterate and surviving was kind of a priority, a few people with an obsession for getting answers could do a lot of good for society. Like this Viennese doctor who prior to germ theory had a sneaking suspicion that doctors shouldn't go straight from doing autopsies to delivering babies. Okay, I'm glad he didn't give up on that one. But in the modern world, where 66.2% of the world's population are connected to the internet, a lot more people can spend time on here, learning about shit and getting sucked into internet rabbit holes. We're so connected. And while we remain living in this connected world, we're gonna have this problem with addictive technology. For me, learning about this stuff, what's going on behind the scenes, has helped me to stay a bit more self-aware while I'm doom scrolling. I've set up profiles on my phone that limit certain apps and notifications during times when I need to focus on more important things. And I try to avoid YouTube's recommended feature if I feel like the content I'm seeing is getting a bit too repetitive. And yes, I'm telling you to avoid the recommended feature, even though that's probably how you found this video. How selfless. If you made it this far, I'm surprised, frankly. But thank you for sticking around. And if you want to continue the discussion with me in the comments and help my channel get picked up by the algorithm, my question for you today is, do you think there should be laws against addictive design mechanics in tech? Like those features that coerce people into rabbit holes? What do you think? I'd like to know. Okay, that's all that we have time for today. If you like what you see and you want to see it again in the future, then subscribe to the Daily Mind Trap. And a huge thanks to my 13 Patreons. You guys are the best. Goodbye. Get you in the hole, keep you in the hole.